The year is 1776. Tensions between Great Britain and its American colonies have reached a breaking point, years in the making. From the Stamp Act to the Boston Massacre, grievances have accumulated, fueled by ideals of self-governance and liberty. While reconciliation was still hoped for by many, increasingly radical voices demanded separation. This documentary explores the events leading up to that pivotal moment, the Declaration of Independence, a document that would forever alter the course of history, not just for America, but for nations striving for freedom worldwide. The Second Continental Congress convened in Philadelphia, initially to discuss redress of grievances with King George III. However, as British military actions escalated, particularly following battles like Lexington and Concord, support for independence grew within the Congress. Figures like John Adams and Richard Henry Lee championed this cause, while others, including John Dickinson, remained committed to reconciliation. The debate was fraught with emotion and deeply held beliefs about loyalty and liberty. Richard Henry Lee of Virginia formally introduced a resolution for independence on June 7, 1776. This was not an immediate declaration. It sparked a period of intense debate and the formation of a committee tasked with drafting a formal statement justifying this revolutionary act. The committee included John Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, Robert Livingston, and Roger Sherman, men representing diverse perspectives within the colonies. Thomas Jefferson was chosen to be the primary author of the Declaration. Known for his eloquence and philosophical inclinations, he drew upon Enlightenment thinkers like John Locke, whose theories on natural rights deeply influenced the document's core arguments. Jefferson synthesized these ideas with colonial grievances, crafting a powerful articulation of why separation from Britain was not merely desirable but necessary. The initial draft, penned by Jefferson, was circulated among the committee for revisions and edits. Adams advocated strongly for its principles, while Franklin softened some of the more inflammatory language to ensure broader support within Congress. This process highlighted the collaborative nature of the Declaration's creation, a compromise between differing viewpoints, ultimately aimed at achieving a unified stance. One significant point of contention was Jefferson's original inclusion of a passage condemning the institution of slavery. This section accused King George III of perpetuating the slave trade and obstructing colonial attempts to prohibit it. Southern delegates, whose economies were heavily reliant on enslaved labor, successfully pressured for its removal, demonstrating the compromises necessary to secure unanimous support for independence. On July 4, 1776, the Continental Congress formally adopted the Declaration of Independence. While this date is celebrated as a symbol of American freedom, it's important to note that debates and revisions continued even after its initial approval. The document wasn't immediately distributed widely. Copies were sent to various states for ratification and public dissemination. The Declaration's preamble famously asserts that all men are created equal and endowed with certain unalienable rights: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. These words resonated far beyond the American colonies, inspiring movements for liberation and equality around the world. However, the ideals expressed in the Declaration were not universally applied within America at the time. Enslaved people remained in bondage, and women lacked political representation. The declarations served not only as a justification for independence, but also as a rallying cry for the Continental Army. It articulated a vision of a new nation founded on principles of self-governance and individual liberty, galvanizing support both domestically and internationally. European powers like France would eventually provide crucial military assistance based in part on this declaration's promises. The legacy of the Declaration of Independence extends far beyond the American Revolution. It continues to be invoked in struggles for freedom and democracy worldwide, serving as a testament to the enduring power of ideals. While its promises remain imperfectly realized, even today, the Declaration's articulation of universal human rights remains a beacon of hope for those seeking a more just and equitable world. The drafting committee, led by Jefferson, faced immense pressure. The weeks leading up to the vote were marked by intense debate amongst delegates. While most agreed on independence, disagreements arose regarding its phrasing and specific grievances against King George III. John Adams, a staunch advocate for separation, clashed repeatedly with Dickinson, who still hoped for reconciliation. These tensions within the Continental Congress underscored the gravity of the decision they faced, irrevocably severing ties with Great Britain. Jefferson's initial draft contained a powerful condemnation of the institution of slavery. He argued that the slave trade was a cruel war against human nature itself. However, this passage proved too controversial for Southern delegates like Thomas Lynch and Edward Rutledge to accept. To secure unanimous support for the Declaration, Jefferson reluctantly agreed to its removal. This compromise, while necessary for unity, left a significant stain on the document's promise of liberty and equality. On July 2nd, the Continental Congress formally voted for independence. The vote wasn't entirely unanimous. Pennsylvania, Delaware, and New York abstained initially, needing further instruction from their own state legislatures. This delay highlighted the challenges in achieving a truly unified front across the colonies. Nonetheless, this pivotal moment signaled that reconciliation with Britain was no longer an option. The die had been cast. The final version of the Declaration underwent several revisions and edits. Adams, Franklin, and Sherman scrutinized Jefferson's prose, refining its language to be more persuasive and impactful. Franklin famously suggested changing pursuit of happiness from property. This seemingly small alteration reflected a shift in emphasis towards individual fulfillment rather than solely economic gain. Each change subtly shaped the document's lasting legacy. On July 4, 1776, the Continental Congress officially adopted the Declaration of Independence. While often celebrated as a day of unanimous agreement, the process was far more complex and nuanced. The signing itself didn't occur on that date. Most delegates signed later. Nevertheless, July 4th became enshrined as the symbolic birth date of American independence. The first public readings of the Declaration were met with mixed reactions. In Philadelphia, crowds gathered to hear its pronouncements. While many celebrated, others expressed fear and uncertainty about the future. Loyalists, who remained loyal to the British Crown, denounced the document as treasonous and subversive. The Declaration ignited a firestorm of political debate across all 13 colonies. News of the Declaration's adoption spread rapidly throughout the colonies and beyond. Messengers carried copies on horseback, while printers rushed to produce broadsides for widespread distribution. The document was translated into multiple languages, amplifying its message internationally. It served as a rallying cry for patriots and inspired revolutionary movements worldwide. The Declaration's impact wasn't limited to America. It resonated with revolutionary thinkers and oppressed peoples across Europe and Latin America. Its articulation of natural rights, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness provided a philosophical foundation for future struggles against tyranny and colonialism. The document became a beacon of hope for those yearning for self-determination. The signing of the Declaration marked not an end, but a beginning. The American Revolution had only just begun, and the fight for independence would be long and arduous. Loyalists faced persecution, and battles raged across the colonies. The ideals enshrined in the Declaration, equality, liberty, self-governance, would be tested on the battlefield and in the years to come. Despite its imperfections and the compromises made during its creation, the Declaration of Independence remains a cornerstone of American identity. It serves as a powerful reminder of the enduring human desire for freedom and self-determination. Its words continue to inspire generations to strive for a more just and equitable world, a testament to the revolutionary ideas unleashed on July 4th, 7th. The committee's initial draft faced considerable scrutiny. John Adams championed Dickinson's revisions, and arguing for a more palatable tone to garner broader support within the Continental Congress, while Jefferson remained steadfast in his core principles, asserting natural rights and condemning tyranny. compromise was essential. The debate wasn't simply about independence. It was about crafting a document that would unite disparate colonies, each with its own economic interests and political anxieties. This process of refinement highlighted the complex negotiation inherent in revolutionary acts. Benjamin Franklin's contributions proved invaluable. Known for his diplomatic skill and pragmatic approach, he skillfully navigated the congressional disagreements. He famously suggested removing a passage condemning the slave trade, a concession that deeply troubled Jefferson, but was deemed necessary to secure unanimous approval. This omission, while strategically advantageous at the time, represents a significant moral failing within the Declaration's legacy, exposing the inherent contradictions of liberty championed alongside the institution of slavery. On July 4, 1776, the Continental Congress formally adopted the Declaration of Independence. It wasn't a spontaneous outburst, but the culmination of months of deliberation and drafting. The vote itself was not universally enthusiastic. Some delegates remained hesitant, fearing repercussions from Great Britain. However, the momentum towards independence had become unstoppable. The act of signing the document signaled a definitive break with British rule, an irreversible commitment to revolution. The document was printed by John Dunlap in Philadelphia. These early broadsides, quickly disseminated throughout the colonies, became powerful symbols of defiance. They were read aloud in town squares, taverns, and meeting halls, galvanizing public opinion and fostering a sense of shared purpose. The Declaration wasn't just about declaring independence. It was about creating a narrative, a story of liberty, that would inspire ordinary people to take up arms. News of the Declaration reached London weeks later. King George III and his advisers reacted with outrage. The British government immediately declared the colonies to be in a state of rebellion. This declaration effectively ended any possibility of reconciliation, solidifying the path toward open warfare. The response from Britain was swift and uncompromising, underscoring the immense risks undertaken by the American colonists. The initial reactions in Britain were mixed. While many condemned the rebellion as treasonous, some Whig politicians expressed sympathy for the American cause, highlighting the injustices perceived in British colonial policies. Public opinion within Britain itself was fractured, illustrating the complex political landscape that fueled the revolutionary fervor across the Atlantic. This division would have lasting repercussions on British politics. The Declaration's impact extended beyond North America. It resonated with revolutionary movements in France, Ireland, and Latin America, inspiring calls for liberty and self-determination worldwide. The document's universal ideals, all men are created equal, transcended national boundaries, becoming a touchstone for those challenging oppressive regimes. Its influence on subsequent declarations of rights remains profound. However, the promise of equality enshrined in the Declaration remained tragically unfulfilled for enslaved African Americans. The institution of slavery persisted, a glaring contradiction to the document's stated principles. This inherent hypocrisy fueled abolitionist movements and ultimately contributed to the Civil War decades later. The struggle for true equality would continue long after independence was secured. The Declaration's legacy is complex and multifaceted. It is both an inspiring testament to human aspiration and a stark reminder of historical failings. Understanding its context, the compromises made, the injustices ignored, is crucial for appreciating its full significance. The document remains a living text, continually reinterpreted and applied to contemporary challenges, demonstrating its enduring relevance in the pursuit of justice. Today, the Declaration of Independence stands as a cornerstone of American identity and a beacon of hope for those seeking self-governance around the world. Its words continue to inspire movements for freedom and equality, reminding us that the pursuit of liberty is an ongoing process, a continuous striving towards a more perfect union. The document's power lies not just in what it declared, but in the ideals it continues to ignite. The debates within the Second Continental Congress continued to be fraught with tension. While Virginia's resolution for independence had ignited the movement, delegates from Middle Atlantic states, like Pennsylvania and New Jersey, remained hesitant. They feared the economic repercussions of severing ties with Great Britain and worried about the potential for internal rebellion if independence failed. John Dickinson of Pennsylvania, a powerful voice against separation, argued eloquently for reconciliation, appealing to reason and shared history. Thomas Jefferson's draft declaration initially included a powerful indictment of slavery, asserting that all men were created equal and accusing George III of perpetuating this execrable commerce. This clause was ultimately removed after fierce opposition from South Carolina and Georgia, whose economies were deeply reliant on enslaved labor. The compromise, while maintaining unity within the Congress, represented a significant moral failing and foreshadowed the future conflict over slavery that would engulf the nation. Benjamin Franklin and John Adams played crucial roles in refining Jefferson's draft. Franklin, renowned for his diplomacy and pragmatism, softened some of the more inflammatory language to ensure broader acceptance. Adams, a staunch advocate for independence, tirelessly championed the Declaration's principles and defended it against criticisms from those advocating for reconciliation. Their combined efforts shaped the document into a powerful statement of American grievances. On July 2nd, the Continental Congress formally voted to declare independence. The vote was not unanimous. New York abstained, believing they needed further instructions from their provincial Congress. However, the overwhelming support signaled a decisive shift in sentiment and paved the way for Jefferson's Declaration to be presented to the Congress. July 4th, 1776, is often celebrated as Independence Day, but it represents more than just the signing of the Declaration. It marks the date when the Continental Congress approved Jefferson's final draft, a culmination of months of debate, compromise, and unwavering commitment to liberty. The document was then engrossed on parchment, ready for signatures. The signing itself was not a single grand event. Delegates signed the document over several days, beginning with John Hancock, president of the Congress, whose flamboyant signature became iconic. The act of signing carried immense risk. Each delegate was effectively committing treason against Great Britain, punishable by death. The Declaration was not initially widely distributed. Copies were sent to state governments and military leaders, but its public dissemination was carefully controlled. The Continental Congress ordered the document to be printed by John Dunlap, a Philadelphia printer, creating what became known as the Dunlap broadside, the first official published version. News of the Declaration spread slowly but surely throughout the colonies and across the Atlantic. The British government responded with condemnation, declaring the colonists to be in open rebellion. Loyalists, those who remained loyal to the crown, faced increasing persecution and violence from patriots. The language of the Declaration resonated far beyond the American colonies. It provided inspiration for revolutionary movements around the world, from France's Revolution in 1789 to independence struggles in Latin America and Africa. The ideals of liberty, equality, and self-government enshrined within its words continue to inspire people striving for freedom today. While the Declaration proclaimed lofty ideals, its promises remained unfulfilled for many. The institution of slavery persisted, and full equality was denied to women and Native Americans. Yet, the Declaration served as a beacon, a constant reminder of the principles upon which the nation was founded, and a challenge to continually strive towards realizing those ideals in all aspects of society. The initial response to the Declaration was not universally positive, even within America. Loyalists, those who remained loyal to the British Crown, actively opposed its principles. They viewed it as treasonous and a dangerous act of rebellion against legitimate authority. Pamphlets filled with accusations circulated widely, stoking fears of anarchy and social upheaval. The Declaration's radical assertion of natural rights challenged the established order and provoked intense debate across colonial society, revealing deep divisions that would soon be tested by war. News of the Declaration's adoption reached Europe slowly, carried by ships, navigating treacherous waters. The reaction varied considerably. France, already sympathetic to America's plight due to long-standing rivalry with Britain, observed events closely. While hesitant to offer immediate military support, French officials recognized the potential strategic advantage of weakening their British adversary. Spain and the Netherlands also considered recognizing American independence, carefully weighing the political and economic implications. The document's impact extended beyond its immediate political context. It served as an inspiration for revolutionary movements across the Atlantic and globally. The ideals of liberty, equality, and self-governance resonated with those yearning for freedom from oppressive regimes. While many nations initially dismissed it as a colonial rebellion, the Declaration's principles would ultimately contribute to the dismantling of empires and the rise of democratic aspirations worldwide. The initial printing and dissemination of the Declaration was a monumental task. Printers across the colonies worked tirelessly to produce broadsides and pamphlets. These were then distributed through networks of committees of correspondence, taverns, and public spaces. The speed and reach of this communication network demonstrated a remarkable level of organization and commitment among American patriots. The experiences of enslaved people during this period are complex and often overlooked. While the Declaration proclaimed that all men are created equal, this promise was tragically denied to those held in bondage. Some enslaved individuals, hearing whispers of liberty and equality, sought freedom through escape or by joining the British Army, hoping for a different future. The hypocrisy of the situation fueled abolitionist sentiments even within the burgeoning nation. Women also played crucial roles in the events surrounding the Declaration. They organized boycotts of British goods, provided support to Continental soldiers, and actively participated in political discussions. While excluded from formal participation in government, women demonstrated unwavering patriotism and contributed significantly to the revolutionary cause. Their contributions, however, were often minimized or ignored within the dominant narrative. The Declaration's language itself has been subject to ongoing interpretation and debate throughout American history. Phrases like life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness have become touchstones for discussions about individual rights and social justice. The document's evolving meaning reflects America's own struggles to live up to its founding ideals and confront its historical contradictions. The Continental Congress's decision to sign the Declaration was a profound act of defiance. Each signature represented a personal commitment to independence, knowing it carried severe consequences if the rebellion failed. These men risked their fortunes, reputations, and even their lives for what they believed in, the right of self-determination. Today, the Declaration of Independence stands as an enduring symbol of American identity and a testament to the power of ideals. It's displayed prominently at the National Archives in Washington, D.C., COAD, where millions of visitors come each year to contemplate its meaning and significance. Its influence continues to shape political discourse and inspire movements for freedom around the world. The story of the Declaration is not simply a historical event. It's an ongoing conversation. It compels us to examine our own values, confront our past injustices, and strive towards a more perfect union, one that truly embodies the principles articulated almost two and a half centuries ago. The pursuit of those ideals remains America's enduring challenge,